Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me. I'm Algabot, your guide through the world of automated trading systems for MetaTrader 5. Today we're taking a close look at an expert advisor called Spinning Top Cluster Breakout. This is a price action strategy that studies candle bodies rather than raw price levels, waiting for a pocket of indecision to resolve into a committed move. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the idea behind it, the exact rules it follows, the meta quotes language code that powers it, and a candle-by-candle chart example. Let's get started, and remember, this is educational content only, not financial advice. So what exactly is the Spinning Top Cluster Breakout, and who might find it interesting from a learning perspective? At its heart, this is a price action compression strategy, but with an important twist. Most compression setups you'll see focus on the range of candles, how tall or narrow the bars are. This expert advisor instead focuses on the body of each candle relative to its range. That distinction matters, because a candle can have a very wide range and still have a tiny body if it's full of long wicks. A small body is the signature of a fight between buyers and sellers that ends in a draw. The strategy trades a single symbol on a single time frame, so it can be applied to a forex pair, an index, a metal, or any instrument your platform supports. The only indicator it relies on for calculation is the average true range, which it uses to size a breakout buffer and to place the stop loss and take profit. Everything else is pure candle geometry, measuring the open, close, high, and low of each bar. The behavior it's built around is simple to describe. First, find a cluster of indecisive candles that mark a pocket of balance. Then wait patiently, doing nothing, until one decisive candle commits and escapes that pocket. Only that resolution earns a trade. From an educational standpoint, this approach may appeal to traders who are drawn to price action and breakout concepts, and who prefer a system that stays flat during choppy, directionless periods. Because it demands a real cluster of indecision followed by a committed escape, it naturally sits out a lot of sideways noise. As always, though, no strategy trades without losing trades, and breakouts can and do fail. This video is educational information only, and not financial advice. Let's break down exactly how the Spinning Top Cluster Breakout expert advisor makes its decisions. Everything runs on a single time frame, and the strategy only evaluates its rules once per completed bar, so it isn't reacting to every tick of noise. The foundation is the spinning top. A spinning top is a candle whose real body, the distance between its open and its close, is small compared with its full high-to-low range. The EA measures this as a ratio. If the absolute open-to-close distance divided by the high-to-low range is at or below the BodyRatioMax setting, which defaults to 0.30, the candle counts as a spinning top. In plain terms, that's a bar with long wicks and a tiny body, where buyers pushed one way and sellers pushed the other, and price settled back near where it started. That's indecision. Next, the strategy looks for a cluster. It examines the cluster window of completed bars just before the current one, 6 by default, and counts how many of them are spinning tops. If that count reaches the minimum spinning tops threshold, 3 by default, the EA treats this stretch as a genuine balance pocket, a zone where neither side has taken control. It then records the pocket's fence, the highest high and the lowest low across that window. Now comes the resolution. The most recently completed candle is the escape candidate. For it to qualify, its own body must dominate its range. If its body-to-range ratio is at or above the breakout body ratio, defaulting to 0.55, the EA considers it decisive, a full commitment candle, not another wick-heavy hesitation. From there, the direction is symmetric. The strategy signals along when that decisive candle is bullish and its close finishes above the pocket's high plus a small buffer. The buffer is a fraction of the current ATR, set by BreakBufferAtr, and it filters out marginal, barely there breaks. The strategy signals a short in the mirror image, a decisive bearish candle whose close finishes below the pocket's low minus that same buffer. Risk is handled with the average true range. Once a trade opens, the stop loss is placed at the ATR stop multiplier times ATR away from entry, and the take profit at the ATR target multiplier times ATR. With the defaults, that's 1.5 times ATR for the stop and 2.5 for the target, giving a reward to risk of roughly 1.67 to 1. and only one position runs at a time. Let's read through the core of the MetaQuotes code, just as it appears in MetaEditor. At the top are the input parameters you can adjust. Cluster window sets how many bars form the balance pocket, and minimum spinning tops sets how many of them must be small-bodied. BodyRatioMax defines what counts as a spinning top, while BreakoutBodyRatio defines how dominant the escape candle's body must be. BreakBufferAtr adds a little clearance beyond the fence, and the ATR settings and lots handle risk and position size. Below the inputs is the decision logic. The EA first computes the escape candle's body-to-range ratio and checks whether it's at or above BreakoutBodyRatio. If the candle isn't decisive, the function simply returns and no trade is considered. It then calculates the buffer as BreakBufferAtr times the current ATR. Now look at the two signal conditions. Breakup is true when the candle has a bullish body and its close is above the fence high plus the buffer. Breakdown is true when the candle has a bearish body and its close is below the fence low minus the buffer. If breakup fires, the EA calls trienter for a long. If breakdown fires, it calls trienter for a short. Inside trienter, a long takes the ask price, places the stop below entry and the target above it, then calls trade.buy with the lot size, stop, and target. A short mirrors this exactly. It takes the bid price, places the stop above entry and the target below, and calls trade.sell. Both distances come from the ATR multipliers, so risk scales with the current volatility. Let's bring the whole idea to life on this chart. On screen, you can see a sequence of candles, and I've drawn two dashed reference lines. The long cluster high at 1.0863 and the short cluster low at 1.0897. Watch how the strategy uses each pocket of indecision. We start on the left with our first balance pocket. Look at these opening candles. Each one has a small body sitting inside a wider range, with wicks poking out above and below. These are spinning tops. Buyers try to lift price, sellers push it back, and every bar closes near where it opened. One after another, the EA tags these as small-bodied candles and starts counting. With the default settings, it needs at least 3 spinning tops inside a 6-bar window, and this cluster easily clears that. The strategy now marks the fence of this pocket, the highest high across the window, and that upper edge is the long cluster high line you see drawn across the chart. Nothing happens yet. The strategy is deliberately patient, sitting inside this zone of balance and refusing to guess. Then comes the candle that changes everything. This next bar opens near the top of the pocket and drives straight up, closing with a big, full body that dwarfs its wicks. Its body-to-range ratio clears the BreakoutBodyRatio threshold, so the EA labels it decisive. Crucially, it closes above the long cluster high plus a small ATR buffer. That combination, a committed bullish candle escaping the balance pocket, is exactly the long trigger. You can see the buy entry marker appear right at that breakout candle. From here, momentum takes over. The sellers who fought inside the pocket are now offside. Buyers step in, and price advances over the next couple of bars. The stop loss sits back below the pocket, an ATR-based distance from entry, while the take profit is set further away at the larger ATR multiple. As price climbs, it reaches that target level, and the take profit marker triggers, closing the long. Notice the reward to risk here. With the default multipliers, the target sits roughly 1.67 times as far from entry as the stop. Now the market builds a second pocket, this time higher up. Watch these candles cluster again, small bodies, long wicks, indecision returning after the run. The EA counts a fresh set of spinning tops and marks a new fence, and the lower edge of this pocket is the short cluster low line at 1.0897. Once more, the strategy waits. The resolution arrives from the opposite side. This candle opens inside the pocket and sells off hard, printing a large bearish body that dominates its range. It clears the breakout body ratio, so it's decisive, and its close finishes below the short cluster low minus the buffer. That's the mirror image short trigger, and the sell entry marker appears on that breakdown candle. Price then works lower. The stop loss now rests above the pocket at its ATR distance, and the take profit sits below at the larger multiple. As the decline continues over the next bars, price reaches the downside target, and the take profit marker fires, closing the short. In both trades, the logic was identical in spirit. Wait for genuine indecision to build, then act only when a decisive candle commits and escapes the fence. Remember, breakouts can and do fail, so this is an illustration of the rules, not a prediction of how any real trade will unfold. That brings us to the end of our look at the Spinning Top Cluster Breakout Expert Advisor. We covered the core idea, measuring candle bodies to spot a cluster of indecision, then walked through the exact entry and exit rules, read the metaquotes code behind them, and traced a long and a short trade on the chart. The key takeaway is that this strategy only acts when a pocket of balance resolves into a decisive, committed candle, aiming to sidestep aimless chop. Please remember that everything here is educational information only and not financial advice. If you found this analysis helpful, a like really helps the channel, and do subscribe and leave a comment with any strategy you'd like me to break down next. You can find more at www.algobot.live. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trade responsibly.